Okay. Okay, well, first I just want to thank you all for inviting us to come and present to you. So on behalf of the staff and families of Ronald McDonald House, we just want to thank you for inviting us to be here. So I don't know how many of you know anything about Ronald McDonald House, so I'm just going to start at the beginning. And some of you are already familiar. That's great. The reason Ronald McDonald Houses exist is that over the years, medical care has become concentrated, like most towns and people's hometowns have a hospital. But in terms of getting sometimes very specialized medical care, that tends to be concentrated in sort of large regional centers. And so families, when they have critically ill children, very often have to travel to get to the right program, the right protocol, the right doctor, the right treatment. And so years ago, in 1974, Fred Hill, who used to play for the Philadelphia Eagles, his 4-year-old daughter, Kim, was diagnosed with cancer. And the family traveled to Children's Hospital in Philadelphia to get treatment for her. And he and his wife found that they were sleeping curled up on a chair in her room and eating out of the vending machine in the hospital cafeteria. And it was very difficult. And they looked around and they saw other parents who were coping the same way. They were far from home, far from their other children. They had no way. It was just where they were going to eat, how they were going to sleep, where they were going to eat. All those things were very difficult. And families had a choice. They could sleep in the hospital. They could pay for very expensive hotel rooms, which sometimes you're there for weeks or months at this hospital. They could go home and not be close to their child, or go back and forth to their other kids. And they wanted to do something about this. And so Fred Hill worked with Dr. Audrey Evans, who is head of pediatric oncology at Children's, and the Eagles football team, and the local McDonald's franchise owners, and they opened the first Ronald McDonald House in Philadelphia in 1974. And so that became the model for Ronald McDonald Houses. And so now there are over 300, and they're all around the world. We have a sort of a global umbrella organization, but each one is operated by its own local chapter. And so in 1978, a group of people in Washington, D.C. decided that D.C. is home to a lot of major pediatric facilities, and decided that there should be a Ronald McDonald House in Washington. So in 1980, the first house opened in D.C., and then in 1998, a second house opened in Northern Virginia. And the house in D.C. serves Children's Hospital, Walter Reed, Georgetown, Hospital for Sick Children, GW sometimes, National Rehab Center sometimes. And the house in Northern Virginia is actually on the grounds of Inova Fairfax and primarily serves Inova Fairfax. It's a little bit smaller. They have a big neonatal intensive care unit over there. And really, in terms of other organizations that do what we do, you're probably all familiar with the Children's Inn up here, but they really just serve NIH. That's who they serve. And the military, Walter Reed has houses called Fisher Houses, but they are not really geared for children. They're for the families of military people who are being treated. So children can stay there, but they're not really geared for children. Ronald McDonald Houses, the patient has to be a child between birth and the age of 21. So we're really focused on kids, and we serve all these other hospitals that nobody serves. So what happens is a family travels to the area to get treatment for their child, and we have families who come from across the country, from around the world. Some families live just from this area, but live just far enough away from the hospital that going back and forth would be a hardship. So the first referral has to come through the hospital, through the social work department at the treating hospital. After a family stayed with us, they can contact us directly if they're coming back, but the first referral comes through the hospital. There is a priority system based on the child's diagnosis, the distance traveled, and financial considerations. So families can come and stay, and some families come and stay for one night, some stay for weeks, some stay for months, some families come back and forth. It can be the parents or whoever the adult caregiver is. It can be the healthy siblings. It can be grandparents sometimes. If the child's being treated on an outpatient basis, very often the child stays with us. We have apartments, and we actually just built a new DC house, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes, but we have special suites for kids who their immune systems are compromised and they may have to be in isolation, so they're actually suites. There are 4 in the new house. That's, there's a little kitchen in there and everything so that they can stay in isolation if they need to. But the families come and they get a private room, private bath, They get access to a fully equipped kitchen so they can cook. We have volunteers who come in and prepare meals. There's a pantry, so there's a lot of general use food that families can use. They have access to common areas where they can just gather, playrooms inside and outside, computer stations. There's transportation back and forth to the hospital. And one of the most important things the families get, aside from a home away from home, which is what we call it, which is, you know, a place where they just don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep, how they're going to eat. There's a huge laundry room, how they're going to get their laundry done, all those kinds of logistical things. But they also get to be with other families who are going through the same thing, and that's really important because the families really get to know each other and support each other. And as one of the nurses at one of the hospitals said, she tells families it's a place where, you know, if you are crying into your cornflakes in the morning, nobody wonders why. So it's very comfortable for the families. And each house has a house manager who really runs the houses and works with the families, and they work with the staff at the hospital to make sure that everybody's, you know, the unique needs of each family are really being met during the time that they're staying with us. So let's see, since we opened, I think between the houses we have served about 19,000 families, so somewhere around 600 families a year, or obviously it varies. Families are asked, if they want, they can make a donation of about $10 a night. That's always waived if there's any, or reduced or whatever, if there's any financial hardship. It's really just a contribution. Obviously that's $70 a week. It costs us more like $500 to house, really in terms of what the expenses are to house a family for a week. You know, we're somewhat unique in that our houses literally are our program. You know, operating the houses, that's what we do. And, you know, the families, they come and they're really, you know, having a child who is sick, and these are children who are seriously sick. A lot of these kids have cancer, other very serious diseases, or some of them have been in traumatic accidents or need a transplant. You know, this is very stressful for families. It's very challenging. And so to be able to alleviate a lot of that is very important. Both just the concrete logistical things about sleeping, eating, laundry, transportation, but also just to be able to give those families some support and have them be with other families who can provide support is really important. So that's a huge piece of what we do. And we do evaluate our programs regularly. We have families give us feedback as they leave and then a couple of weeks out. We get feedback from the hospitals. And, you know, we really, you know, we believe that in the moment we help families because of taking all the sort of logistical things on their plate out of the way. They're better able to focus on their child and their child's treatment plan, and that, you know, that can make a difference. Although obviously not every story has a happy ending. So I wanted to show you this.
Okay, we can't get it to project there. I don't know why, because it works for the other computer.
Okay.
So I guess you could. It's a DVD, so it's like a movie type of thing.
Yeah, it's actually even just the first few minutes. It's we need to make a new one of these. We used to have one years ago that was really a series of vignettes, people talking about their experiences. This one starts out that way and then goes into a little more about sort of a broader look at our programs and how we fundraise and our volunteer needs. So it's really the vignettes at the beginning.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to hold it. I know you can't
all
see it, but
You could attach it to something.
Can you make the box?
yeah, I'll make
Yeah.
it full size.
I think you have to do this first, and then it will go.
You could try attaching it to like speakers so that we can do it. Yeah.
The button down here first. It's actually moving before you go full screen.
Opening it all now.
Yeah, I think so.
Barely on it.
Marla brother Christopher has ALL leukemia. He was diagnosed the day before my 9th birthday. On my birthday party, like a week
the idea. The other thing I want to